It was reported that this NHL offseason might be one of the biggest, and it has started that way as we had a blockbuster trade. Brady Tkachuk, no longer an Ottawa Senator. He is going to be joining his brother in the Florida Panthers for a straight pick trade, which is 2026 first-round pick, their Florida 9th overall pick, the 2026 25th overall pick, which Florida acquired with a Mackie Samoskevich trade earlier today from Seattle, the 2027 second, and a 2029 conditional first round pick. This was obviously not necessarily a huge surprise, but we didn't know if it was going to happen this year or next year because Brady Tkachuk did have a couple of years left on his contract, but ultimately the Ottawa Senators captain leaves, the next American captain to leave the Canadian team and join one of the top teams in the Florida Panthers.
So obviously, when you're looking at Brady Tkachuk, and it kind of, even though he didn't officially put in a trade request, but you could kind of say it was when he indicated to the Ottawa Senators that he is not going to be re-signing with them. So obviously Ottawa did the smart move. You don't want any players that don't want to play for you on your team long term. They're not fully committed. Brady Tkachuk revealed that he wasn't going to be fully committed. And obviously, when you're looking at other teams to trade with, Florida was going to be at the top of the list because that his brother plays there, and obviously Florida being one of the most dominant teams in the NHL.
The four teams reportedly that he did what was willing to waive his no move clause for was Florida Panthers, Carolina Hurricanes, the Vegas Golden Knights, are the two obvious for being Florida Vegas, and the Minnesota Wild, because you have Quentin Hughes and their window is open right there right now. Do you want to start with the Senators or do you want to start with the Panthers?
We'll start with the Panthers. At the end of the day, the Panthers got an A, get an A+. They're getting...
So, Bill Zito is back to being the best GM. The question I posed to you during the Carolina championship.
Bill Zito does his thing. Look, we've... Not to make this about the Canucks, but the last time I remember a 9th overall pick getting traded, it was for Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
I saw that online. And Connor Garland.
Connor Garland. But obviously that did not work out great. So this one, Bill Zito hit a home run. Look, he hit a home run with Matthew Tkachuk. You're hitting a home run with Brady Tkachuk.
Well, no, the reason why he hit a home run is because it's how we ended up orchestrating the Brady Tkachuk trade by moving off of Mackie's.
Exactly. So
I just said his name and I forgot it. Samoskevich.
Yes.
To Seattle.
The thing is that Bill Zito, when he has a chance, an opportunity to hit a grand slam, he will do it.
Yeah.
He did it with Matthew Tkachuk. He didn't care that Jonathan Huberdeau put up 115 points. He's like, it's Matthew Tkachuk, you're getting traded for him, right? This one, Brady Tkachuk, same thing. He pounced on Sam Reinhart, and obviously, when you're looking at lower level, lower cost moves in terms of reviving players like Forsling, Seth Jones, OEL, Nate Schmidt.
Getting Brad Marchand in.
Exactly. So, when he sees an opportunity of a player that fits what the Florida Panthers does, he goes out and gets the best possible player that can play that position. And obviously with their two-way style that they play, guys like Barkov, which they already had, Reinhardt is up there, the Tkachuks now are some of the best players in what they do in their player archetypes.
And going to the Mackie Samoskevich trade, because like he's a young guy, he knows that Zito knows that their Panthers window is now. Regardless, they were 3 straight Stanley Cup finals, 1-2 in a row. The 2 that they won were before the Carolina Hurricanes did win, which, by the way, Carolina's probably like, thank God we won the Stanley Cup this year. But even now, it's like they just had an off year, and it's mainly because Barkov got hurt. Matthew Tkachuk in this case wasn't fully healthy, so it ended up becoming like an off year for them. They got the 9th overall pick. People are like, okay, then he was able to get a first round pick, in this case a 25th overall pick, plus I think it was a second for Mackie Samoskevich. And people were like, okay, does this mean he's going to draft some studs and go from there, or trade? And ultimately, it ended up being a trade. Brady Tkachuk, why not reunite the brothers? And on top of that, the window is now, at the end of the day, like, Florida was probably going to be my favorite team heading into the next season. All right, like, regardless of Carolina winning the Cup and how good Montreal have been. They just, again, similar to the LA Rams of the NFL, they kind of solidified it. Now, is Brady Tkachuk Myles Garrett? Hell no. Not saying that at all. But at the end of the day, teams like him, Vegas, windows are win now. So they're going to do whatever it takes to win now. And even then, like, Brady Tkachuk is only 20. He's going to be 27 in September. Matthew Tkachuk is only a couple of years older than him. Yes, you have going to have a couple of aging players eventually. Their championship window is still for the next 5 years, in my personal opinion. And now on top of that, before we go on to the Ottawa side of things, they were in talks of getting Connor Hellebuck. And obviously, we're gonna have this discussion at the end of the video. So stay tuned about the whole Americans Canadians thing, because me and you never had a sit down conversation about that. I obviously had that with Alex Adams, and we'll talk about that when it comes to the Ottawa side of things. But when it comes to this team, they're because they don't know what's happening with Bobrovsky. They don't know. He's obviously aging. Like you said, they moved off of Jonathan Huberdeau after a career year, Mackenzie Weegar after a solid year, and to get Matthew Tkachuk in. The way it's looking right now, this American Olympic gold medal team are trying to get out of their current situations, especially if they're in Canada. And I'm not saying Winnipeg's in a bad situation, but Winnipeg has not taken the opportunity. Right, this is a big offseason for Winnipeg, and that's a different team. We'll talk about it at a different time. But the reason why I'm talking about them right now is because there is a big speculation that he wants out. Connor Hellebuck, right? And I'm pretty sure he has some type of no trade, no move. This freaking Connor Hellebuck, right? At the end of the day. And you don't be surprised if Florida will somehow get him, because at the end of the day, yes, they do not have any of the first round picks in this year's draft, that the ones that they had, the ones that they acquired, whatever the case might be. But when you force a move, you could get anything done. If not him, they might go after talking with the Canucks. Maybe they believe in a Thatcher Demko bounce back healthy year, and they could go get him or whatever other goalie it can be available for them. But yeah, watch out for this Florida team, because if they do get Connor Hellebuck, that's the Myles Garrett edition. If they do end up getting it done overall, and look, at the end of the day, the Eastern Conference and the whole NHL, it's going to be the Florida Panthers' role, in my personal opinion, the way it's going.
Well, obviously, like you said, Carolina figured their shit out and got the cup win this year, because they ain't going to be beating the Florida Panthers, who before have been dominating them, and now it's even more tougher. I mean, feel bad for Montreal fans, obviously.
Well, I'm not. Yes and no, because
yes and no, just because
they're at least young enough that they could still get there.
Potentially, in a couple years. As depending on how long they stay in their peak. But like, you're taking Florida over them. Same with Buffalo. Like, it's Florida over everyone in the Eastern Conference. But for the Panthers, and I guess it kind of comes to Vegas to an extent, like, these players are just, even when you look at Dylan Larkin, like, these players are, it's a team, right? People want to go to Vegas and play in Vegas. People want to go to Florida and play in Florida. 1, they're good. 2, no taxes. And 3, weather.
Actually properly run teams.
Properly run teams and weather as well.
Yeah. But like, when it comes, like, his last question about the Florida side of things, we've seen the NBA super team era, right? Like when LeBron Heatles happened, the big three Boston, obviously Kevin Durant Warriors. Are we officially in the big super team era now of the NHL? Because we never really seen a super team era, at least when we've been watching hockey. Because it's hard to do. Because at the end of the day, you're not relying on just 5 players, 5 to 7 players in the NHL.
It is harder. It's actually harder to do
with the hard copy.
Free agencies haven't been great.
Yeah,
right. The free agent classes that we have seen these last few years have not been great. So these GMs really have to mastermind their way of getting these trades done, and obviously Bill Zito is one of the best at that. And then so he figured out a way, right? Like, they had their vision, they followed through on it, and they just get their best players in that. So yeah, super teams for sure. Obviously, like, Vegas is, I guess, one as well, or was one as well, because they have, when they won the cup, they added everyone. Obviously Florida at the moment. We'll see what Montreal's able to do in their offseason additions as well. But overall, there's one right now. This is more like the Warriors era, where, like, okay, you kind of have a feeling who's winning the cup, right? I'm not saying it's clear cut Florida right now, just because hockey is a little bit more unpredictable, in my opinion, when it comes to the NBA.
Higher risk of injuries in hockey than basketball.
Yeah, obviously basketball, you get a hot goaltender is a hot goaltender.
Yeah.
But this one, it just feels like, it's Florida and everyone else in the NHL, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay, let's move on from the Florida side of things to the Ottawa Senators side of things, because at the end of the day, it's another Canadian team losing their American star. Obviously, in this case, Brady Tkachuk may arguably not be their best player on the team, but he was their heart and soul. He has been there since day one. Obviously, before when we talk about Brady, like the Ottawa return, let's talk about that first. I don't hate it. Like, personally, I know the one thing that did surprise me, I'll say this much, is they didn't get a player in return. Now, like a ready now player, because we thought the Ottawa what you call it, the Ottawa rebuild era is over, right? Like they're gonna be a solid team going forward. Like yes, when we talked to Alex, or when I talked to Alex Adams, you were obviously there in the background, doing the behind the scenes stuff for it. Was like, what is this Ottawa? What's Brady Tkachuk's future? Like obviously originally it was like, oh yeah, he should be good, he's happy here, but then obviously the political side of things, you know, him not getting necessarily the warmest welcome, coming back from the Olympics may have been a factor and all that stuff. You could see a little bit of a different turn, but at the end of the day, like Tim Stützle and Jake Sanderson are like, you could say those are their best players. Brady Tkachuk didn't have the greatest playoffs, whatever the case might be. But there were talks about getting Lundell from Florida, because again, at the end of the day, Lundell's going to be now probably your 2 or 3 seed, depending on if you do the rat line with Bennett and the Tkachuks, which is going to be fun to see a little bit, or however they deploy their lines. I don't hate the fact that they ended up getting a lot of the 9th pick, the 25th pick. They have the 32nd pick because of, originally they didn't even have a pick, right? They got it back and ended up being the 32nd pick. In my opinion, yes, you're in the retool era, but I will not, like, can you use these picks plus whatever future picks they got in this trade to maybe go get a Robert Thomas, maybe go get, as long as he wants to play. I don't think Dylan Larkin's going to go there, so like I'm not even going to bring that into the picture, but another American, which I know it's going to be tough to convince him, but if you were to convince him, a guy like Jason Robertson, for example, can you do like a sign and trade situation with Dallas? Because if he doesn't want to stay there, can you convince, yes, an American, but the difference with this American is he was not selected by Team USA and did not have that camaraderie a bunch of Americans had in Italy and all that stuff. But overall, one last thing, sorry, I do not hate this return. Like at the end of the day, for considering he had a full no move clause, he could have easily been like, give me Florida and nothing else, and then Florida could obviously be like, all right, we're not giving you any of these picks. But they ended up getting 2 first-rounders from this year's draft to either help their team this year or use for future trades.
I would definitely say that's option 1 for them. Finding a way to
Package
get
him.
a proper top line forward, doesn't even have to be a center, like a top line forward to obviously help them out. Just because you replace one top guy on your team with another top guy, that's the quickest way you could, come back and make the playoff push again. Next way, if you do go with the picks, people I would look to draft. I'm a big fan of Viggo Bjork. I think this guy is a beast. I know he's short, but he's big though. Like he's like jacked.
Plays
and
big.
Big, and he plays big as well.
Like Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, exactly.
You should know that.
I know. Taking charges and he has big. We'll move on. He also moves really well. He's really good on the puck. He plays with pros. He did really well in the juniors. He did really well in the championship, the IIHF championship games as well. Speaking of Barkov, just comes back and wins that gold medal for that as well. So obviously that's how much of a miss Barkov was for Florida. But back to the Senators and the pick here. I think he's NHL ready, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of Viggo Bjork. I think he could throw him in there. I'm not saying he's going to fill in the shoes of Brady Tkachuk or anything, but I think in my opinion, I am speaking very highly of him in terms of NHL ready, just because he's obviously coming in from Europe and Sweden. But at the same time, I think this guy could hold his own. I'm very high, very huge on Viggo Bjork.
Obviously, you're hoping he drops to 9. That's the other thing.
Exactly. Other guy I'm very high on. I know this guy's not going to be. This guy's a defenseman as well, but this guy is more so NHL ready, in my opinion, and Albert Smith from Latvia, because this guy literally played in the Olympics.
Yeah.
As well. So this guy's also. I know that he's not a winger and he's not a forward.
Yeah, and Ottawa's already a really good defensive team.
But when you're looking at it, if you're looking at those picks at number 9, I would say those two, because I feel like those two are the most talented, but also out of everyone in that range, most NHL ready, in my opinion.
Do you think it was the best time for Ottawa to do this trade now, or do you think they could have tried to get one more year? Because he had 2 years left, right? So he could have maybe tried to do one more year of trying to get into the playoffs and maybe make a run. Or do you think it was the best time to get the best possible value?
I think
because at the end of the day,
look, once you make it clear, like this is the biggest mistake that the Canucks made, right? Like Jim Rutherford revealed that Quinn Hughes wanted out. Like he knew that Quinn Hughes wanted out since the summer.
Like he wasn't going to extend necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, like if a guy's not going to send it with you, that's basically a trade request.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in my boat. So once you have a guy that's already 1 foot out the door, Quinn Hughes was absolutely garbage for the Vancouver Canucks this season. Right? Absolutely pathetic, checked out, did not give a shit about hockey.
Which was funny because he was still their best player.
That just speaks for
different
our team.
story.
Yeah. But for a Quinn Hughes level, he was pathetic.
Yeah.
in a Vancouver Canucks jersey.
That being said, he was
season.
that good that he was
Yeah.
still didn't want to play and was still the best player.
Exactly.
On the team.
But I think I'm not saying that Brady Tkachuk is out here going to throw a hissy for anything, but I don't think you would have gotten the best Brady Tkachuk this next season when you already have.
And the other thing is Brady Tkachuk is not Quinn Hughes.
Yeah, exactly. And him already being one step out of the door. And this guy is a fiery guy, emotional guy. So obviously, just because of things that are happening around the scenes and around him getting moved, this guy just might get ticked off and just start beating up some people.
Yeah.
Right. For in general. So I think, and also I don't think Ottawa's getting this return next year as well.
Fair. Yeah.
I
No,
think
that's why. Yeah. No. Like so. Let's talk about not just Ottawa because we kind of figured out what Ottawa's next plan should be because we already said should they have made this move. Yes, because at the end of the day, you kind of know. Brady Tkachuk obviously had said in the offseason that he is committed to this team, this city, and all that stuff. But then sometimes you have to. He might be saying that truthfully in a certain extent in the short term, right? Like you said, right? Like Quinn Hughes, at the end of the day, yes, all the stuff he did after the trade, especially, is making what Canucks fans hate him, right? I still am in the boat of like the Canucks did not build a team around him properly. They did fail him to give him a proper opportunity to say stay or not. I'm still on that boat. I'm not saying that everything you said about Quinn Hughes like and how he played and all that wasn't the greatest. At least with Brady Tkachuk, he was starting to get a team around him. Matthew Tkachuk was the same thing. He started to get a team around him. But again, the three of them you could at least say like, hey, we're not going to re-sign here. Do what you want. It's probably best to trade us if you guys want some type of value because we're not coming back, right?
Yeah,
but,
Brady Tkachuk, yeah, like for him it's just it's clear that Ottawa's going to be a playoff team or hunting for playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Or should be playoff team. So when Ottawa like got their pieces in together with all these injuries back, we've seen them go on the run and make into the playoffs as the last wild card team. So we know that Ottawa is a good team when they're all fully put together. So Ottawa had a proper team. Obviously, for a Quinn Hughes situation,
outside of 1 year.
Outside of 1 year, the Canucks are just absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Right. Detroit Red Wings are absolutely garbage. It's fair why Larkin, wants to trade out. Calgary was kind of like up and down, so it's not like it was consistent. Like out of all the ones, Brady Tkachuk had it the best situation, right?
Heading into the future, like Brady Tkachuk's Ottawa beginning wasn't the greatest in terms of
exactly.
Like,
but like
success.
now the teams around them, right?
Yeah.
Now back-to-back playoff years, right?
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah, no, like at the end of the day, like we saw like when I was talking to Alex and you were obviously there with me in the room, it was like it kind of shifted with the whole political scene behind the scenes, right? And me and you are not political people at all, so we're not going to talk about what the situation with that is. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I guess the one guy for me before we talk about the whole American landscape now of the NHL, another guy that's extremely happy because it is Father's Day, so I want to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers watching this. Keith Tkachuk has both his sons playing on the same team. He obviously riled up some speculations when he was on the podcast during the playoffs and stuff like that. So, he got his wish. These guys are playing together or he's out of the certain situation. The other thing is, though, at the end of the day, obviously an A+ for Florida Panthers. For the Ottawa Senators, as a return, I'm giving it still an A. Personally, I like the return, but it's like many draft pick trades. How are you going to utilize it, whether by trading or whether by selecting? That has a potential to go up to A+, or has also potential to go to F.
For me, it's like that's where I'm giving a B+, A- range, just because there's no clear answer to Brady Tkachuk.
But like the initial return, I actually don't hate it.
Yeah, obviously in terms of like value and like and the return and then what they got, that stuff is good, but the unknown to it lowers it for me a little bit.
Yeah, because like the Brady Tkachuk at the end of the day did not have the Quinn Hughes type career in the NHL. Like he's been good, but he didn't have the greatest playoffs. He didn't obviously a little bit. So I was a little bit surprised they got both the picks out of them, right? And from 9 and 25 of this year, I thought they would have gotten maybe 25 and maybe kept 9 for a Hellebuck situation or whatever the case might be overall. But that's the Ottawa Senators side. I think that's the Brady Tkachuk. Brady Tkachuk's legacy in Ottawa, I think it's going to relatively be similar to Quinn Hughes to a certain extent because at the end of the day, even though he did say the right things in the media, somewhat Quinn Hughes, but neither of them really said, I'm going to stay here, right? Like how you heard JT Miller when he left, before he ultimately got traded by the Canucks, that was a different situation. But when he re-signed, that is an American that didn't want to stay. We'll figure out what happens with Connor Hellebuck now because he ultimately did re-sign with an extension. You've heard players like they've never really said that. So what is his legacy going to be in Ottawa? I could see a 50-50 reaction. But at the end of the day, he still gave it his all for the organization. He did fight in the opening round, first play against Jordan Staal, to start off the playoffs essentially, right in that first period. So the question now ends up coming to this because it's time for us to meet you and talk about it. American players being drafted by Canadian teams. So, for example, this draft class, let's pretend the 2016 draft class, Toronto, because the Maple Leafs do hold the first round pick this year. But let's say Austin Matthews, fast forward a decade, was the first round pick of this year, clear first for overall pick of this year's class. If you're the Leafs, do you now take Austin Matthews, or do you take Patrick Laine or whatever non-American was going to go second or third overall?
You take the best player available. Look, as much as all these Tkachuk, both the Tkachuks and Quinn Hughes, and now also Larkin as well, wanting out or indicating they're wanting out / also leaving, a big reason is that the team has not been good enough, right? Ottawa at the end of the day is good enough now, but for so long they haven't been, right? So the biggest thing is that makes them want to leave is that
you're not winning.
You're not winning. You're not putting a good team around, and like this rebuild, retool, whatever you're in, it just isn't working, right? So they all had, I guess, out of everyone, Brady Tkachuk the lowest, but everyone else I thought had actually like put up, a fair reason, right? Like at the end of the day,
I'm correct. I still think Matthew Tkachuk is still in the Brady Tkachuk or the same.
I think Matthew Tkachuk's
slightly worse, but not as
because Calgary was up at like Ottawa now is like in that period.
Yeah,
Calgary was 1 year good, 1 year bad every single time.
Fair, but I'm saying like in terms of
I don't think they're in the same boat in terms of their competitive teams. But for obviously Detroit Canucks, terrible. So the number one thing is that everyone wants to do is win. I do believe that in every player, right? I don't think or almost anyone in the NHL, I think every single player their goal is trying to win a Stanley Cup, right? And once you get an indication that you're not going to do that in the team that you're in right now, that's probably, in my opinion, that's the number one driving factor of why someone would want out or / not re-sign an extension.
Yeah, no, like here's the thing. The other funny thing is Tkachuk has a brother not in the Canadian market anymore. Hughes has two brothers that are not in the Canadian market anymore, and strictly New Jersey in this case. But for me, I agree with you. Like if you're at a draft, you have to take best player available, because what I learned is that at the end of the day, initially they'll sign a contract with you. Like you have your entry level contract, and then you'll probably sign their bridge contract or a max rookie extension contract. Like at the end of the day, Hughes did sign for 6 years. Brady Tkachuk signed for 7 years. I don't know how much Matthew Tkachuk signed for at the time, but after that, it was like that's when the issue kind of happened. Or like maybe in a Connor Hellebuyck situation, he'll sign the extension, but maybe now want out, because we've seen that, right? Like Brady Tkachuk technically still had 2 more years remaining and wanted out at the end of the day. It's still you need to have a discussion. The question is, how much better is, in this case, if it was Austin Matthews, Patrick Laine. Like if Austin Matthews was a clear-cut number one guy, which he was, you take him. You have to take him, right? Like the Golden Knights, for example. Like let's say if they were an NHL team, you take Caroline Harvey all day. If you're translating it to the same.
The point is this, right? Like if the players themselves, like guys, like I guess I'm trying to think of like lower level American players, right? But like if you're looking at, let's say I'm gonna use a goalie example, right? Like say Joey Decord, right? American goalie compared to Connor Hellebuyck, right? Like Connor Hellebuyck is that guy that, okay, he's a superstar, things revolve around him, that if he wants out, it's going to be a big deal. Joey Decord, it isn't. But also Connor Hellebuyck has the right, because of how good he got it. Quinn Hughes, Tkachuks, Larkin have gotten to a high enough level that where them wanting out, one, matters, but also two, they've gone to a high enough level that where they could say that, I'm the best player on this team, but everyone else sucks, basically, yeah. or like you guys can't put a team around me. So like say for the Canucks, right? Like no young guy is gonna say anything, right? Yeah. You draft a guy, it's gonna take him 4 to 5 years. Yeah. It's gonna take 4, 5, 6 years for them to like get to that point where like, okay, I'm not seeing you. I'm good, but I'm not seeing anything else improve. I want out.
Here's the perfect example. The best run team outside of Florida, Carolina, and maybe Vegas is Montreal. They locked up Lane Hudson. They locked up Cole Caulfield. 2 American studs that should be on the American Olympic team, even the World Cup team, maybe the next 2 to 4 years. right? Now we'll see. That will be the true test to see if they actually won out in the middle of their contracts. But for right now, Cole Caulfield looks happy. He's a 50-goal scorer on that team. Lane Hudson looks happy because he's one of the top defensemen in the NHL now. Top 5, top 10, wherever we want to look at it, right? Chase Reed, who... shout out Shores, he's the Sioux. It's a Canadian thing, but he's an American, and he was on Donnie and Dolly and saying, like, every time a Canadian, like, even we would ask, if we had a right to ask an American player or American prospect, what's your, we should ask, like, what, like they did, what's your ideal, like, what's your reaction of being drafted to a Canadian team? And he said that simply, like, I play at the Sioux, which is in Canada, and it kind of embraced me, but I know how much hockey matters here, right? But at the end of the day, like, Mitch Marner wanted out of Toronto. Now, a lot of that is because of the social media side of things, which has probably played a factor with Tkachuk because he didn't want to deal with the media and all that. For me, yeah, Mitch Marner proved he's a solid playoff player for sure in his first year with Vegas, but it's still at the same time, two things can be right. He did not live up to the pressure of playing in Toronto, right? Clearly, Brady Tkachuk was tired of dealing with the Canadian media. Clearly, maybe Quinn Hughes and all these guys were tired of dealing with Canadian Vancouver media, whatever the case might be. Is that a factor? Yes, a social media factor, 100%. But at the end of the day, when it comes to drafting players or convincing players to come, Brock Besser loved it here. Yes, his helps that his now wife is a Vancouverite, for sure. But JT Miller loved it here for a reason, because they seen that if this team can get going, Zeev Buyam, who's an American now for the Canucks, says, talking to Tom Wielander and them, like, oh, yo, these guys are coming out to support us, and we're the worst team in the NHL. Imagine this place when we're in the building for a playoff team, and some of them have seen that in 2024, right? So regardless of the situation, yes, is there a risk of drafting, you know how that once upon a time Russians, now once upon a time now will be the Americans? Yes, but at the end of the day, if you look at, like for example, if Gavin McKenna is Canadian, and let's just say Ivor Stenberg was an American, if they're that close and you're Toronto, you obviously go for the Canadian. If they're that close, maybe then you go for the opposite side of things as well.
The last point I'm going to make here to wrap things up is using Toronto, right? They drafted Austin Matthews. They got good in the right time. There's a reason why Matthews didn't want out, because the Leafs were competitive. They were consistently making the playoffs. They went on this consistent playoff streak that pre-Austin Matthews, they did not have, right? If that was the case, and Matthews, year 3, year 4, and they were still, consistently missing the playoffs, Matthews is going to want out.
Yeah. Matthews did also sign a 4-year contract extension for a reason as well.
Exactly. But the thing is that the Maple Leafs are good. That's the main reason why Matthews is still here. That's in my opinion, that's the main driving factor. That's the main priority that each team needs to have. At the end of the day,
like I said, Cole Caulfield extended for a reason. Lane Hudson extended for a reason.
Like at the end of the day, like even if it's a Canadian, I wouldn't be mad, right?
Like a Connor McDavid. No.
Like at the end of the day, I wouldn't be mad if Connor McDavid wants out of Edmonton.
Yeah.
Right?
So
that's the main thing.
To pretty much wrap it up, again, this American playing in Canadian market discussion is an interesting one, because at the end of the day, we are seeing evidence of Americans wanting out, but we've also seen evidence of Americans wanting to stay. But to wrap it up, 2 quick fire questions. Now that we saw Brady Tkachuk leave, we saw Quinn Hughes leave, do you see Connor Hellebuyck leaving this summer? And do you see Austin Matthews leaving this summer?
I see Connor Hellebuyck more than Austin Matthews, in my opinion. I think
because Austin Matthews is in the Quinn Hughes stage right now, where he has 1 year remaining.
Yeah,
before
I think Austin Matthews is gonna stay, but I also do think it'll be a little bit easier to trade away Austin Matthews, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think if Connor Hellebuyck comes vocal, I think it's gonna be massive, because it's gonna be hard for Winnipeg.
I'll be honest with you, I could see both of them getting moved depending on what they do on July 1st.
Exactly.
Are they going to make moves to trade? Because Connor Hellebuyck now losing Nikolai Ehlers doesn't help him now that he's won a cup, right? And for Connor Hellebuyck's situation, it's hard to get people to come to Winnipeg. So the fact that he did sign was very surprising to me at the time. But overall, NHL offseason starts off with a bang. We had some minor deals already, but the major one was this Brady Tkachuk deal. We had a discussion about the American players. We want to hear your comments down below of what you thought of this trade. What do you think about American players being drafted or playing in Canadian markets? Is it overblown, or is it a legit concern? Follow our TikTok and Instagram down below. We've been dropping bangers there as well. Comment and like this video, and because we're going to be dropping more offseason videos for you guys as well. Hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 300 subscribers, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.